Hi, my name is Andy Clark, Eugene, Oregon. What you're going to hear is a family court, they call it, hearing. For after many, many years of a guardian of a retarded adult offspring of mine, they just suddenly took it away. You're going to hear there was no reason given. You're going to hear I didn't object to not having the guardianship, but as guardian I needed a reason and didn't get it. That happened in 24 days. Fellow Americans, as they would say, it takes 24 days to snatch your children by the state. I've never done anything wrong. I've been paying the ex-wife $5,500 a month. There was no reason for what they did. I think it's tied to the Wells Fargo matter, only because it seems very coincidental and timing after all these years. But you make your decisions after hearing this amazing audio of a child being taken through process. Then go and hear my house being taken through process. It's been a great year. Thank you. It's Andy Clark.
All right. Please be seated.
Ms. Villigren, would you retake the witness stand?
And again, I'd like to, with the court, convey what I was speaking to Ms. Villigren. I apologize to
No, you may ask questions if you have questions.
I apologize to you as a human being in the open court because I feel that some of these are somewhat mean to you as a human, but I have to do it. I'm sorry. Here's my last questions for you. In our prior questioning, correct me if I'm wrong on these statements, you indicated you did the visit for removal of a guardian, but you yourself aren't real aware necessarily of the specifics of what it takes. Your job is to put together a report to bring to the court. So you just did your job, is that right? You did your job. Is that correct, the way it was defined?
Yes.
I view that to be the case. Now, my point is that because you did your job without fully knowing the aspects, it essentially falls into what's called the Nuremberg defense, meaning...
Objection, Your Honor. It's not asking a question.
No.
What is your question?
The question is you just did, is it correct? You did your job as you saw fit without really knowing what the relevance as it relates to the guardian removal. Is that correct?
The petition before me was to removal of a guardian, and so I investigated with that idea in mind, because that's what the petition said.
But you said correct me if I'm wrong, don't have an idea, a legal basis or list of what criteria constitute a removal of guardian. Is that correct?
I have not read the statutes that are involved.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's enough. I've taken enough of your time, and again, I thank you.
You may step down. Okay. You may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can I put a motion in first? I'd like to motion for dismissal. There's no evidence. There's a lack of a key witness, Matt Bromley. It's the evidence, fruit of the poisonous tree. Its exclusion needs to be excluded under Fourth Amendment. It just does, in my opinion, Your Honor. Move to dismiss. I'd like them to come back with one of the following, either a letter just saying, hey, Andy, we need you to do this.
Well, let's take your motion, if that's what the issue is before the court. Counsel?
We would oppose that motion. The hearing date was set, and its proceedings are in place, and we would like to have this resolved in the best interest of Andrew Clark to have this resolved as soon as possible.
Mr. Newton?
I don't think I have anything to add. I don't think that's a basis for dismissal.
All right. The motion to dismiss at this time is denied. You may call your next witness if you have a witness.
Amy Clark is my next witness.
Right. Ms. Clark, please come forward to be sworn in. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. Please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Amy Marie Hosapo Clark. The last name is spelled C-L-A-R-K.
Mr. Clark, you may ask questions.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to apologize to have to ask you this as a human being, okay? But I have to. First question, how long have you known Matt Bromley?
Approximately 2005.
To your knowledge, does he
Approximately 6, 7
does he have
years.
the appropriate background check in order to be working with disabled adults?
Yes.
Does he have licensing for this?
You asked the question if he's had a background check.
And licensing for
The answer regarding the background check is yes. And licensing, not an official licensing, but he has had a lot of training and experience working with special needs children through 4J School District, and I'm sure there's other job criteria.
Your Honor, I'm having difficulty. I don't know if I might just have to give in. I'm having an emotional difficulty. She was my wife for 20 years.
What is it that you're asking the court to do?
I'm thinking. I got to think. Once she's up there, I'm having to ask my ex-wife questions like this. I question whether it's worth it to me and to her. That's what I question, Your Honor. I don't know if it's worth it. You know, it's a hurtful
wait
thing.
just a second then.
Give me just
So
a moment.
think about it.
Give me just a moment. I'm sorry. It's just an emotional thing. Okay.
How do you want to proceed, Mr. Clark?
Mr.
Clark, talk to me first. How do you want to proceed?
I'd like just clarification. If she just promises me that there's no money involved in this, that the reasons aren't monetary, or I feel like I wasn't asked. I feel like I wasn't asked, Your Honor. No one called me.
And if
emailed
somebody
me.
asked you right now, is it your position that you would remove yourself as
Right away,
co-guardian?
if I have the reason, other than
That's
that I'm a
not
bad
my
person.
question. My
If-
question is,
if
listen
it-
to my question.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, if Ms. Clark asked you to remove yourself as co-guardian, would your answer be yes or no?
It depends on the
Okay, without
Depends on
knowing any more.
No, I would have to say no.
Then you may ask questions and
Thank you.
continue.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry it's painful to me. I appreciate it. Okay. What percentage of the time does Matt Bromley spend with the subject, Andrew J. Clark?
Depends on the day and the week and the month. It varies.
Mr. Clark, I actually thought you wanted to know why, and I thought that's what you were going to ask Ms. Clark.
Okay. Why specifically are you wanting me to be removed from guardian? What is the specific reason? The purpose?
Being a guardian, it is a very serious commitment.
I agree.
It is important to be actively involved in the protected person.
Is that per
Wait, just a
law?
minute.
Oh, sorry.
There are
Let her
many responsibilities that, especially the criteria was given at the time. It was actually Judge Holland that signed the original guardianship, that they present to you and give you all the information and criteria of the importance and categories of what a guardianship should do and the responsibilities of a guardianship.
What were those?
Wait just a minute. The question was, why do you want to have Mr. Clark not be a co-guardian? For what reason?
Many reasons, Your Honor.
That's the question that was asked. I haven't
He
heard it.
hasn't seen Andrew Justin Clark for approximately 6 or 7 years. He hasn't fulfilled any of the guardianship responsibilities, and they are many categories. There's, assistance in housing, food, nutrition, medical, and dental help, and just in general his welfare and well-being. And there's a lot of responsibilities, day-to-day basis. There's future planning. There's so many categories that you have to work with Andrew Justin Clark on. His emotions, his health, his community work, social recreation and involvement. And he has not partake or cared for Andrew Justin Clark in 7 years, so how can you be fulfilling these responsibilities and guardianship and being a caring, loving person when you haven't seen the protected person in so many years? And also, he stated approximately, it was the year of 2005, he wrote, when Andy turned 18, he said, I'm no longer responsible.
Objection, hearsay.
I believe
objection is
not,
overruled.
Your Honor. It's not hearsay. It was.
I'm not asking you
okay,
whether
I'm
it is
sorry.
or isn't.
I'm
That's
a
my
little
decision
bit-
to make.
Oh,
the question is,
I'm sorry.
take a breath.
I
The
never-
question is, why is it that you are seeking Mr. Clark to not be guardian?
Andy
Anything further?
I'm sorry. Andy Justin Clark is a very intuitive young man. He faces challenges at various levels in every aspect of daily living. Yet he is very motivated to keep on continuing learning each day, and he has integrity.
Ms. Clark, I'm going to
Keep
stop
caring.
you.
Well,
Wait
he's
just a
just
minute.
genuine
Just
person.
wait a minute.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
don't interrupt
Okay.
either. The question is, why do you want Mr. Clark, the adult Mr. Clark, your former husband, to be removed as co-guardian? That's the question that has been asked of you.
It is for Andy Justin Clark's sake, for his safety, for his well-being, so he can continue on living a healthy, safe, productive, happy life.
And why do you think
And-
that's not possible if Mr. Clark continues to be co-guardian?
Because there's a lot of planning involved and a lot of work and efforts that I put into it, and a guardian needs to participate in order that Andy can continue with his progress. And after 7 years of being absent and not fulfilling and not helping, I can't see where he qualifies to be a safe guardian.
Okay. Now, Mr. Clark, you may not agree with the reasoning,
I understand.
and you're entitled to not agree.
I understand.
But that's the answer to your question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. You mentioned that my continued guardianship affects his safety. How specifically does it affect his safety?
Again, I was stating that Andy's a very intuitive young man. He's very careful and very responsive. He has this insight of who he wants to be around him, who helps him, who assists him. He has a lot of integrity. And I've always been fair about people he's worked with.
Okay, that's not the question. The question was, how would Mr. Clark's continuing as a co-guardian affect the protected person's safety?
It's going to be detrimental to Andrew Justin Clark in a lot of regards. In future planning, current
the
planning.
question was, wait just a minute, what you had testified to, in part, was that one of the reasons you wanted Mr. Clark to be removed as co-guardian was because your concern for the protected person's safety as well as well-being.
Yes.
So the question was, specifically, how would Mr. Clark's continuing as co-guardian negatively affect the protected person's safety?
Andrew Justin Clark doesn't want to see the co-guardian.
And how does that protect his safety?
Well,
You said it affects his safety, and so that's the focus
well,
of this
a lot of
question.
his allegations are scary and they're false. It scares me,
For example.
and I think I would like to prevent my son. I mean, a guardianship is an honor. It's appointed by the court. I mean, they determine who gets to be a guardian, and I think the guardian has to be a qualified person, somebody who has common sense, who works hard, wants to protect the child and participate in the child's life. And if it continues, it's hard to plan Andy's future and which direction he's going to. It's difficult. It's just unfair to Andrew Justin Clark. I'm really concerned about the people. I'm always concerned about who he's with.
All right.
And the people that work with him.
Wait just a minute. You may ask your next question.
Okay, so in all these years, I have not threatened Andy Justin Clark. Is that right or wrong?
Wrong. You said you've sent, I think Mr. Newton has documentation of a lot of your feelings towards Andrew Justin Clark.
Feelings?
And I
We're
think a
talking
threat to
safety.
just tell your son to write in that email that he's 18 now and I'm no longer responsible and that the state should take care of him.
What does that have to do? When was that alleged email? What year?
And possibly in 2005.
Okay, so in 2005, when he was 18, you're alleging there was an email that said at 18 he's a matter of the court, which in reality apparently he is. Is there anything false in that statement that you're alleging from 2005? I see it as truth, but I look to you for that. Once a person's 18,
Wait,
they are
you
subject to
have to let the witness answer the question. You
I'm
can't
sorry, I
just
don't know
keep
if I make
talking.
sense. I don't know if I make
Repeat
sense.
the question, please.
The question is whether or not this alleged threat was actually truthful as opposed to a threat, in your opinion.
And relevance.
No, it's not truthful. Just because an adult child turns 18 doesn't mean he becomes a ward of the state.
Okay, ask your
It's
next.
not.
Next
Hold on.
question.
Thank
In
you.
that time, since that email, have there been any other perceived threats to his safety by me, other than that perceived email?
I want a threat, like what type of a threat? A
To his
physical
safety.
threat?
To
A
his
verbal
safety.
threat?
To his safety. The reason you needed to remove guardian was safety. So I'm trying to pin down how I've threatened his safety. We've got 2005 email. It's pretty threatening. What about since then?
It's your opinion of Andrew Justin Clark, and it's your.
How often do we speak?
Did
How do
you ever?
Do you know my opinion?
Hold on a minute. Okay, we're going to have to do this a little different way because, Mr. Clark, you keep interrupting. And you can't do that, and you keep going on. So what's your question? Let's start over.
The fundamental question again is with how have I affected the safety or health of him?
Okay, that's the question.
And I haven't got an answer.
You know what? Then you have to be quiet. Otherwise, you won't get any answer. So be quiet. What's your answer?
Well, the first one I remember in 2005.
You already told us that. Anything else?
No, this is something new. He asked if there was a threat. When I called him on his business phone, which I was advised later.
Well, we're not going to go there because really the question is nothing occurred in 2005. Why now do you think that safety is at issue?
All along there's been little allegations written or voiced, And it started in 2005 when he said he was going to go and pick up Andrew Justin Clark at his school, at his high school when he was attending South Eugene High School. I had to involve the teachers. I had to go there at the end of the day. They actually had the local police there at the high school. I don't know his title. He was involved because he was saying he's going to go get Andrew Justin Clark, which would have been detrimental to Andy because he follows routines and he loves to take the bus home.
Anything since then?
I believe one time, did you ever approach Friendly Street House? And
No.
No, wait, you're not asking questions, you're just answering
No, I've
questions.
never approached
And you're not
Friendly
answering
Street House.
questions, you're just waiting to ask your next question. Anything else?
I just believe, other than what Mr. Newton has in the documents, what he has written about Andrew J. Clark, there's never really been physical
Okay,
threats.
then, what's your next question?
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so safety we've covered. I'm trying.
What's your question,
That's
Mr.
what I'm trying to do.
Clark?
I'm trying to phrase thoughts as questions, and because I don't have the experience, I struggle.
You have plenty of experience, what's your next question?
Okay. Trust assets. How many trusts and approximate dollar amounts are in each one of the children's trusts and Andrew Justin Clark's trust in particular?
I'm not sure isn't it confidential information when it comes to Andrew Justin Clark's finances?
If your attorney wants to object, he would have objected, so you may answer the question.
I'll object to relevance.
The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
What dollar amount
I don't need an
is in
answer.
Andrew Justin
I don't need
Clark's
it. I don't
trust?
You don't need an answer at this point.
I don't
Ask
need
your
an
next
answer.
one. Ask your
Okay.
next question then.
It's because I'm doing right in this court, and it's not my business to know that. It's my business to guard it, not to know it. Okay? That's
Mr.
why
Clark?
I asked it. Next question. What amount of fees, roughly, are you charged by attorneys to administer the trusts?
Objection, relevance.
Objection's overruled. You may answer the question.
Thank you. What amount of fees am I
Fees-
charged
Right, there's trusts.
to
is that
maintain
correct?
these trusts? To establish the trust, I don't have the exact dollar amount. It's very expensive.
That wasn't the question. It's to maintain the trusts. That
To
was the question.
maintain the trust?
Is there any annual fees or anything like that?
No
paid?
annual fees. It just depends on when needed.
Do these trusts allow you, for example, to buy an automobile paid through the trust that's primarily used by you as long as you're transporting Andrew J. Clark or others? Does these trusts permit that?
I'm not sure. I would have to speak with the attorney.
He's right there. No, wait. That's
Well, he's not going to ask, she's not going to ask somebody about that. What's your next question?
Thank you. Matt Bromley. Am I correct to say he is the son of William Bromley, who set up the trusts?
Yes.
It is correct. Okay. Is it correct, to your knowledge, that he was subpoenaed to a hearing 2 years ago and did not refuse to come? He wouldn't come. He did not show for that. Do you have knowledge of that or not?
Matthew Bromley,
Matthew Bromley.
when you filed the motion
A subpoena to have him come to the
to
modification
modify my
hearing.
spousal support,
Yeah, he didn't show.
I don't believe Mr. Matthew Bromley was subpoenaed.
He was.
You'd have
It's
to
in the
check
record.
with Mr. Newton.
Next question. Have you considered the possibility that it's a conflict of interest adverse to the guardian, the subject of the guardian, Andrew J. Clark, that you have the attorney and his partner and his son and all this money? As a guardian, does that concern you, yes or no?
Does it concern me?
Yeah, does it not?
That's the question.
Yeah, concern you? Do you want me to pick a different word?
No.
No, no.
No.
Doesn't concern you. As guardian, well, okay, never mind. Okay. Matt Bromley, what does he do? What was his primary occupation in the years that he's been living in your in the house of, I think it's Amelia and Aaron Clark? Whose house is it? Let me start with that. Whose house is it that they live in? Who owns the house? 3009 Friendly. Who
Andrew,
owns it?
Aaron, and Amelia Clark.
Okay. And so they own it.
Yes. Their
Okay.
name is on the title.
When was the last title change to that property?
I'm not sure which year.
Well, because in 2008, correct me again if I'm wrong, your name and Amelia was on it, but during the modification process, you removed your name from it, leaving just Amelia. Okay, that's why I'm asking, when did the others get added on and who affected it?
It's a process, especially when you're buying, purchasing. It's very complicated. I had Judith Lerner working with me. I had William Bromley helping me and helping the Andy, Aaron, and Amelia Clark. And to give exact dates in how the process goes, because they have to have guardians and attorneys to help them.
What does a guardian do, in your opinion? What are the legal duties?
A lot.
Per the law, specifically.
Depends on the guardianship and how it was established.
And
There's
how was
different
this
types
one
of
established?
guardianship.
How was this one
I think it's a limited guardianship.
And what are the criteria of this limited guardianship?
I
What
can
are the
name a few
requirements?
responsibilities.
Which ones? What are they? List them.
Well, to really take care of the protected person, to make sure that they're healthy, safe,
Do you have that document?
housing. Oh, at home I have several copies,
Do you
and
have
I'm
a-
sure it's in Mr. Newton's file there.
Okay, keep going.
What other categories, responsibility of a guardianship?
Specifically, and then how are those not being met by me?
Making sure.
Mr. Clark, that was already answered.
Thank you.
You
Thank
don't
you.
necessarily agree with it,
I
but it was
understand.
answered.
Okay. In Mr. Matt Bromley's report, again, he's not here to talk about it, so I'll have to ask you. He made a statement saying that I'm the, I mentioned it before, I think I may have left my paper. Give me a moment, sorry. He made a statement as follows, and he was referring to, and again, I'm going to read it again, because it hurt me a lot. Amy Clark is the only involved parent he has known. That's a quote from Matt Bromley. What do you see as his basis for making that statement?
First of all, you claim that that's Matthew Bromley's report?
Yes, it is. Do you have a copy of his report? Have you
No,
looked at it?
I didn't realize Matthew Bromley had a report.
Requesting of the court to furnish to the witness so that she can review what's being said about this guardianship?
The court has not received any report from Matthew Bromley into evidence and is not considering such report
Thank
as a basis for this decision.
I understand now. I received it at home.
Any other questions for
Thank
this
you.
witness?
Let's see here, yes. Okay, so you don't, what year did you buy 3009 Friendly? What month and year?
I'll tell you the month and year, but I also want to, if you could recall to save a little bit of time, is that you have this information from a deposition with one of your attorneys, Mr. Twang, when you were filing your motions. And you knew that I purchased the house under deposition when you asked Mr. Twang asked those questions of me. It was purchased July of 2005, and you deemed it as a cottage industry for the kids.
Okay, you're making a statement in court that I deemed it a cottage industry for
Okay,
kids.
so let's not go here because we're already astray of the issue before the court. Do you have any other questions with
Okay.
regard to the issue before
Yes.
the court?
Okay, so I've had, okay, so other than Andy's safety and my effect on his safety, are there any other reasons you have that I should no longer be guardian?
Mr. Clark, you already asked that question, and it was answered.
Thank you. Is there any guardian duty specifically that I haven't performed that you asked me prior to legal procedures to perform?
Are there any, would you repeat that question, please?
The question is whether or not there were specific duties that you asked Mr. Clark to perform that he did not.
Prior to legal proceedings.
Which legal proceedings?
These. An email, a phone call saying, hey, Andy, I need this or that. Did that happen, or did we just go right to legal?
To ask you to perform
Right.
your responsibilities of being a guardianship?
Right. Yes, that's correct.
I didn't know it was my obligation to
So would that
contact
be a
you.
no? It's still, the
No.
question is, okay, ask your next question.
Okay, so let me.
Let's not rephrase, I heard.
Thank you. Hypothetically, let's suppose I were to go up to the house to try to see him, and you saw that that was upsetting him. And again, this didn't happen. What would you do? What would you do at that point? Would you call the police? Would you call me? Would you call your attorney? What would you do if I were to come up to the house and knock on the door at 3009 Friendly, if and when you were there? What would you do?
Andrew Justin Clark has many safety skills.
The question was,
Set.
what would you do, Ms.
What
Clark?
would I do if I was there?
Correct.
Would I have to be there if I was
This
there?
is the hypothetical. What would you do?
Probably answer the door and ask you, how may I help you?
Okay, thank you. Now, at that point, let me make another hypothetical. Let's suppose I said to Andrew Justin Clark, Andrew Justin Clark, you need to get into my car. We're going. Would you say something to me at that time first, or what would you do? If that happened, what would you do?
If you directed that question to Andrew Justin Clark, I think that he could give you an answer, a response.
No, the question was, what would you do? Not
your
what would
guardian.
he do. The question is, the hypothetical is, what would
First
you do?
of all, Mr. Clark, you have been advised not to be entering 3009 Friendly Street property or my property because you were coming on our properties and at any time you wanted to in the year 2005. So in writing, when you had your attorney, Mr. Twang, he advised you not to be going on the properties.
Ms. Clark, that's not the question. Wait just a minute. It's a very straightforward question.
If
The
he
wait,
came...
don't interrupt me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The question is, if Mr. Clark came to the property and asked for the protected person to go into the car, what would you do? Straightforward question. What would you do?
I would have to, wow, that would be scary. I would have to ask Andrew Justin Clark, what is your decision and what do you think? And I would also, I just don't send my children off at any time with anybody. I would have to ask questions, why? Where are you going?
Okay.
I would be concerned for my son, Andrew Justin Clark.
Okay, fair enough. And so have I come to the door since 2005 or come to these properties since then?
I suspect at the last time we were in court over the lapse of life insurance on one of the stipulation that's in the original judgment that you're in contempt of court with still, that the day after court was out, that house is in a very safe neighborhood. I believe.
Wait just a second.
sorry.
When there's an objection, then you
Oh.
stop.
Objection to
The objection
prior-
is sustained, so ask a different question.
Okay. Okay.
You've got 5 more questions.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. If I were right now to say, please give me the specific reason, not a hypothetical like scared maybe, but I need to have you off in order to do this medical procedure or to do this trust thing. Some matter of financing or his placement. Have you asked me for that yet outside of the legal process?
That's a yes or no?
No.
Okay, next question.
Number
two.
I'm done. I think I'm done. Your Honor, I can question for the next 30 days, but I'm done.
Okay. Mr. Gaydos?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Are you really want to ask questions?
No.
Why don't you be seated then?
Thank you.
You may call your next witness.
I have no more witnesses, and I'm so sorry to even have this be in a court process. I'm so sorry to everybody.
Okay. Then, based upon the testimony that the court has heard, and based upon Oregon law, it's the finding of the court as follows. ORS 125.225, subsection 1 states, a court shall remove a fiduciary whenever that removal is in the best interests of the protected person. This court's focus is not on you, Mr. Clark. It's not on you, Ms. Clark. It is on the protected person. You may each feel, and it's pretty evident from the way you both speak to each other, that there are issues that you have between the two of you. You certainly know how to push each other's buttons and are easily able to make jabs at each other, which you do even here in court. Both Mr. Clark, you have done that, and Ms. Clark, you have done that. That may be too bad, and it is, but that's the way it is. The problem that the court has is that when I order the appointment of co-guardians, those co-guardians need to be able to talk with each other so that they can plan for the welfare and care of the protected person. That hasn't occurred in this case, and it is evident to the court that it will not happen in the future. Mr. Clark makes a good point, and I understand his perspective of, here is the protected person who is doing well and I have been co-guardian. Why shouldn't I just continue in the same vein that I have in the past, which is a more hands-off approach of allowing the other co-guardian to make the daily decisions. And while that isn't a perspective, it doesn't answer the question in terms of what is in the best interest of the protected person. At this time, and based upon as well the position of the protected person as evidenced by his attorney that the court appointed as an independent attorney to represent the interests of the protected person, the court is granting the motion to terminate Mr. Clark, you as co-guardian, and will reissue letters to Ms. Clark as sole guardian under the same terms and conditions as originally set forth and with the same authority as originally set out. That's the order of the court. Mr. Newton, I'll ask you to prepare the appropriate documents and provide that to the court, and we are in recess.
Thank you.